Okay, today we're going to be talking about how to use the substitution method for systems of equations. So, if you look at the second equation there, it is almost set up for substitution. The whole idea in substitution is to solve for one variable and then use what that variable is equal to plug it back into the other equation. So, in this one, in our second equation, we have x almost completely solved for. We just have to get rid of that 3. So to do that, we're going to divide by 3 throughout the whole equation. And then that new equation turns into x equals 2y plus 4. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to take, since we have this x equaling this part here, that 2y plus 4, we're going to take this whole chunk here and we're going to plug it in for x. Okay? So let me write out the first one again. 2, and then instead of that x, we'll plug this in here. I'll change the color back to red so we can see it. Plus y equals 3. So let me put that red part in. 2y plus 4, and then I'll move all this down. Okay, so now what we need to do is distribute to simplify. So we're going to distribute that 2 to both terms. We're left with a 4y plus 8, and then we still have that plus y there, equals 3. Then I will combine like terms, so you'll end up with a 5y plus 8 equals 3. Move that up. Subtract 8 from both sides, and you have a 5y equals negative 5. Okay, divide by 5 on both sides, and you have a y equals negative 1. Okay, so that's our answer as of right now for y. Then we want to take any of our first original equations. So we have this 2x plus y equals 3, and we have this 3x equals 6y plus 12. I think the first equation is simpler. So I'm going to take that 2x plus y equals 3, bring it back down here. I'll write the full thing again. Okay, so now I'm going to take this y and substitute it in for this y. So since y equals negative 1, we can plug in negative 1 for y in that equation. So let's do 2x plus negative 1 equals 3. That's the same thing as saying 2x minus 1 equals 3. And then you have a 2x, add 1 to both sides, so you have a 4. And then divide by 2 on both sides. So now you have an x equal to 2. Okay, so now we found that our two coordinate points are 2 and negative 1. And then what I always tell people to do is take your first and second equation and plug in your answer to check your work. So let's do a check. Take that first equation, which was 2x plus y equals 3. 2x plus y equals 3. Plug in 2 and negative 1 for your x and y. So 2 plug in 2 and negative 1 for x and y. There's your x. There's your y. Keep everything else the same. And then distribute. You have a 4 minus 1 equals 3, which is true. 4 minus 1 does equal 3, so that checks out. Now let's go back to our first equation. I'm sorry, our second equation. It was 3x equals 6y plus 12. So let's check that one. 3x equals 6y plus 12. Okay, we're going to plug in 2 and negative 1 in for x and y. Plug in 2 for x, negative 1 for y. Okay, so now I'm left with a 6 equals negative 6 plus 12. Negative 6 plus 12 is in fact equal to 6, so you know your solution works.